Today, we are going to break down an absolute masterclass in storytelling. It's a short, incredibly powerful story that all happens on a simple bus ride. We're going to explore the anatomy of a farewell, a goodbye so profound it was basically hidden in plain sight.
And it all kicks off with this simple question. You know, we see them all the time. Empty seats on buses, in coffee shops. But what if one of them wasn't just empty? What if it was being saved by a memory, holding on to a story that was just waiting for someone to finally listen?
And boom, these are the words that light the fuse on the entire story. Just a casual, almost throwaway comment from a bus driver to a young woman named Emma. But that one little sentence, it carries an impossible weight, and it's about to completely unravel her world.
So this kicks off our first section, the empty seat mystery. This is the setup, the initial puzzle where a simple observation spirals into this deeply personal and unsettling question for our main character.
Now, what's so fascinating here is her immediate reaction. It's not just, that's weird. It's physical. Her hand starts to tremble. Her heart is pounding. Why? Well, because she knows something that makes what the driver just said totally impossible. She's seen someone sitting in that seat. So for her, this isn't just a mystery, it feels like reality itself is starting to crack.
So that leads us right into how this whole mystery deepens in our second section, a stranger's final gift. As Emma's mind is just racing, her memory flashes back, connecting that empty seat to a really strange encounter she had recently. The puzzle pieces are starting to bubble to the surface.
The driver's words, they're like a trigger. And almost without thinking, her hand slips into her coat pocket, like she's searching for something she didn't even realize she remembered.
And there it is. Her fingers find it, a small folded piece of paper, given to her by an old man who used to sit in that very seat, the one that's supposedly been empty for years.
And suddenly his exact words just come flooding back, clear as day. He'd said it with his gentle smile, "Open it when I'm gone." Now, at the time, it just seemed kind of strange, maybe a little poetic. But now, hearing what the driver just said, it sounds like a warning, a final, cryptic instruction.
At this point, she just has to know, right? The driver's words are fighting with her own memory, and this little note is the only thing that connects those two realities. So, with her hands shaking, she finally opens it.
And here we go. We've reached the absolute heart of the story. Section 3, The Father's Secret Note. This is that moment of revelation where the mystery isn't just solved, it's blown wide open into something incredibly personal and heartbreaking.
So as she carefully unfolds the paper, she realizes there's more than just writing. Tucked inside is this small, cool object, a locket, a clue inside a clue. And then her eyes finally land on the words themselves.
And the truth just hits her like a ton of bricks. The old man, he wasn't a stranger. He was her father. The father who had left when she was just a little kid, too young to even remember his face. But he hadn't really left at all, had he? Every single day, he'd been performing this quiet, secret ritual, riding the same bus, just for a chance to sit near his daughter, without her ever knowing who he was.
And through her tears, she looks toward the window, toward his seat, and she sees it. It's not a ghost, but it's something just as powerful. A faint, faded handprint on the cold glass. It's like an echo of him, a final, silent farewell.
But hold on, this story isn't over yet. Just when you think we've hit the emotional peak, we get to our fourth section, the driver's final twist. There is one last piece of the puzzle that changes everything, all over again. The bus comes to a stop, and Emma looks up at the driver through her tears. He gives her this sad little smile and says, "I was joking, kid. That seat wasn't empty for years." And for a split second, you feel this wave of relief, like maybe it was all just a misunderstanding. But then, he delivers the second, much harder truth. The old man, her father, he passed away yesterday. And this is the final, jaw-dropping connection. The driver reveals who he is. He was my father. The driver is her brother. And her father's last wish? He told his son to keep that seat empty from now on, turning it from a place of quiet watching into a permanent, sacred memorial.
With that final piece in place, with the whole story revealed, Emma looks back one last time at the window. And this time, the handprint, it's gone. The message was delivered, the connection was finally made, and it feels like his spirit is finally at peace.
Okay, wow. What a story, right? It's just incredibly moving. But why is it so effective? In our final section, let's actually break down the anatomy of a farewell and look at the storytelling tools that create such a huge emotional impact.
So the first key tool here is misdirection. The driver's first line, "That seat has been empty for years," sends Emma and us down a totally wrong path. We're thinking, maybe this is a ghost story. Then, when he says, "I was joking," that's a second misdirection. It makes you relax, think the mystery's solved, right before he hits you with a deeper, more tragic truth. It's just a brilliant way to play with expectations.
The story's real power also comes from its amazing use of symbols. I mean, think about the empty seat. It starts as just a space, then it becomes a mystery, and finally, it's the sacred memorial to a father's silent devotion. The locket is the physical proof, right? It's the anchor to the truth in a story that feels almost unreal. And then you have the handprint, this brief spiritual touch, a goodbye you can feel, but you can never actually hold.
So, what's the big takeaway here? It's that powerful storytelling doesn't need hundreds of pages. This entire emotional roller coaster happens in just a few moments. The impact comes from its perfect structure, all these layered revelations, and symbols that carry so much emotional weight. It's about depth, not length.
Which really just leaves us with one final thought. This whole incredible story was hidden in the most normal place you can imagine, an empty seat on a city bus. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other stories of love and loss and quiet goodbyes are playing out all around us, hidden in plain sight, just waiting for the right person to notice?